So when I think about Martin Luther King Day, I think about a few things, some stories my parents have told me, and things that I've lived through. One of the things that stands out, I remember once asking my parents, well, why did my siblings and I grew up in the neighborhood they grew up in? Because growing up, I noticed that we lived in a neighborhood that was all Black. And so I was an adult and a practicing attorney by the time they told me this story. They said, well, when we originally moved to that town, we had looked at homes in other neighborhoods. And the first neighborhood that we looked at, we saw a home a realtor had showed us. And as we were leaving the showing, the neighbors came out and they started calling us names, and they told the realtor not to sell a house to those N-words in this neighborhood. And so my mom and my dad, after this experience, sat down and they had a decision to make. And they said, we can be, revolutionaries and move in that neighborhood, or what type of kids do we want our children to grow up around? Do we want them to be safe every day? And so they made the decision to move to the neighborhood that I grew up in, which was an all-Black neighborhood. And I was like, wow, I didn't even know that had happened. And I think about that and about a lot of the things that have changed and things that have gone unsaid and experiences that people have had and how it impacted their life. And I think about the position that I'm in specifically as a Black attorney and the power that I have, not to change people's ideals necessarily, but to make sure that our shared sense of trust in the ideal of equality is enforced.
My favorite thing about being a lawyer is to make a positive impact, especially on young Black people that look up to me or that see, how young I guess am and look, and they're always so excited to hear about how I became a lawyer, and they want to know how they can do it too. And I love serving as a source of inspiration for people because it wasn't really I didn't grow up around many lawyers. I was a first generation college student, first generation law student. So it's really cool now to be at a point in my career where people look to me as someone that they can relate to and aspire to be like. So that's been my favorite part of being a lawyer. What does being a Black lawyer mean to me? Black lawyers are so underrepresented in this field. For the last few years, it's been 5% of the attorneys are Black. So for me, one, just being great at what I do. I pour into myself so that I can pour into my clients. I approach my clients with the lens of empathy, with the lens of a willingness to listen to them, to understand their problems, to relate to them. And I, as a first generation law student and as someone who used to wait tables, I have the fortunate ability to be able to relate to a broad variety of people because I've met so many different types of people. I've talked to so many different types of people. And so a lot of people tend to gravitate to me in that way. But aside from just being a good lawyer and a good advocate for my clients, it's always just holding myself to high standards and being a role model for those people who come after me, those young Black boys and girls who want to be a lawyer, who need a positive role model, who need someone's story to signify to them that they can accomplish that goal. So that is particularly important for me. It's not something I take for granted. I'm always willing to talk to young attorneys about what my experience is and what my journey has looked like and ways that they can break into this field as well. So